Hello, everyone. I am your host, Sporadic Erratic. I hope you are all enjoying Speedrun Ragnarok 2020. And if you just joined us, welcome, welcome. We have an amazing run lined up and ready to go. Galasrinie is going to be running Bayonetta for y'all.
Hi, I'm Galasrinie, and I'm going to be showing off the Bayonetta speedrun today. Hope you will enjoy this run. Timer will start on selecting normal difficulty, which will be in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, go. So yeah, welcome. This is Bayonetta. Bayonetta is an action-packed hack and slash game by Platinum Games. The first part of the game is just an auto-scroller, so there isn't too much required of me to do here, but it'll give me an opportunity to explain a few things about the run and the game in general. So at the start of the game, we get introduced to two of the main characters. On the left is Jean, and on the right is Bayonetta, who is the character that we're going to play as for this speedrun. So yeah, like I said, this is just auto-scroller. You'll notice right now that there is a narrator who has a bit of dialogue to read to give a bit of background on the game and the story. What can happen here is sometimes the final line of the narrator's dialogue gets cut off and we can get an extra bit of time save. So we just have to wait and see if we get that little bit of time save. So yeah, the main way that we perform damage in Bayonetta is through punches and kicks and combos. On each of Bayonetta's hands and feet, she has guns strapped to them, which she uses to shoot at her enemies. And unlike Devil May Cry, where you verse demons and devils, in Bayonetta you verse angels, which is the opposite. In this auto-scroller you get to see a few of the different angel types that we're going to be seeing quite a few times along the course of the game and the run. This is also a good opportunity if there's any donations that come in, because it's just a little bit of an auto-scroller. Some can be read here if there's any that come in.
All right, well, I did want to remind everybody that we are taking donations. Speedrun Ragnarok is really happy to be raising funds again for Take This, which is a mental health nonprofit, and their main mission is to inform the gaming community about mental health issues, provide education on different disorders and prevention techniques, and reduce the overall stigma around mental illness. They're just a really, really cool organization. If you have any funds available, please do consider donating.
Awesome. In the back there is a larger angel type. His name is Fortitudo, and we're going to be seeing him quite a few times in the early game of this run.
Fearing the witch's dark abilities, humans began to condemn the remaining outlaws. They launched the witch hunts, rounding up the battle-weary witches with little resistance and subjugating those who wished to continue the struggle.
Yeah, the category of this speedrun is new game, 80% normal, no infinite flute glitch. And essentially what that means is new game means this isn't a new game plus run, so we start the game on a fresh save file. 80% means we are going to try and finish the game as fast as possible. Normal is the difficulty, and no infinite flute glitch means that we won't be using one specific glitch, which trivializes combat quite a bit, so we're going to be seeing a lot more combat techniques along the course of this run, which I'll get to show off.
I'm so excited!
So this is the prologue, the festival. Bayonetta ends up in a cemetery with some angels, and what I'm going to be performing here is what we call the ragdoll combo, where we pick up an angel, grab them, and then try and fling them into each other so we can perform damage to multiple enemies at once. One thing that you'll notice when defeating the angels is that there are these golden rings that pop out of their body. They've been said to look a little bit like Sonic rings. They are called halos, and that is the main currency of the game. You kill angels and halos pop out of their body, which is great. In this wave, there is a smaller flying angel type that are called decorations, and we just shoot them down with the guns on the hands. In this wave, there is a mix of both, so we try and lift up the larger angel types and try and fling them into the smaller ones. He is evading me over here, which isn't very nice. That's okay. And we try and take them out first, if we can. Underneath Bayonetta's green health bar, you will notice these multicolored orbs. That is called the magic gauge, and when Bayonetta has a full magic gauge, she can perform this, which is called a torture attack. And we perform a torture attack to that larger angel specifically because he has quite a bit of health, and doing that specifically to him will one-shot him. So that's the way that we get rid of him first. And just clear out the other angels in that section. So yeah, torture attacks is the mechanic that we're getting introduced to. It is a requirement in this next segment to perform 3 torture attacks in order to progress. We perform 1 torture attack straight away from the magic gauge that we had built up from the previous fight. And holding down Bayonetta's combos from her hands and feet, she will shoot a lot of bullets from the guns that are there, and by doing that we can fill the magic gauge up first to perform 3 torture attacks right after each other. And that's the end of the prologue segment.
This game just feels so epic. You get really hyped when you're playing.
Yeah. After a while you kind of mellow out though because you get used to things just going so fast all the time. But that's okay. So in between chapters there is this mini game called Angel Attack. I won't be doing it here, but I'll be doing it after the next chapter, so I'll get to explain it a bit more in detail then. So this is chapter 1, the Angel's Metropolis. First thing we do is we jump over this train and we perform this movement which is called jump punch cancelling, which is performed by pressing the jump and the punch button together to get a slightly faster movement. Because with the dodges that Bayonetta does, after a 4th dodge there is an exhaust dodge. So with open spaces like that in this chapter we perform that movement so she doesn't get exhausted. Down in this chest there is a key. We collect the key and we're going to put it in the keyhole. There is an enemy who spawns behind us, but going directly to the door we don't have to deal with them and we can progress forward. After interacting with this statue there is a fight that emerges, and I'm going to be performing the same ragdoll combo to try and push them into each other. Like so, to clear them out. After defeating this fight, this statue will reform, and after interacting with it and activating it, this statue casts a lightning bolt, and dodging that lightning bolt, Bayonetta gets Witch Time. Witch Time is one of the most important mechanics of the game, and essentially what it does is slows down time. Bayonetta can get Witch Time whenever she dodges something in her surroundings that could do damage to her, such as an enemy or debris. And in combat, when Bayonetta dodges an enemy, it gives her an opportunity to take advantage of situations a lot more when enemies are slowed down. We're just performing the same jump punch cancelling movement, but this is the final time that you're going to see it because we're going to go into the store for a technique for better movement, which is air dodge, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it will now allow Bayonetta to dodge through the air, which will be our fastest form of movement that we now have. Throughout the run we get better movement as we progress along, and this is currently the one that is the fastest for us. In this dome there is a vase, and in that vase is arcade bullets. In between chapters there is that minigame Angel Attack. Collecting those bullets gives us extra shots for that minigame, which we're going to need, and I'll get to show off once we get there. One thing that Bayonetta can do is she can take the angel's weapons away from them. Like right now we took the halberd away from one of the angels that died, and Bayonetta can use it as a stripper pole. Another thing that Bayonetta can do to take an angel's weapon away from them is perform a torture attack. And I torture attacked that angel specifically for his ball and chain weapon because I'm going to be needing that for an enemy who spawns in a little bit later. Now we just have to try and clear out the angels as much as possible. I think that's all of them. Yeah. So this is a beloved, a larger angel type. What these beloveds have on their back is this red spot, which is their weak point. We do a lot of damage to their back using that ball and chain weapon and take them down fast. For some of the larger angel types in the game, Bayonetta performs a climax move, which is this, where she summons one of her infernal demons. This one's name is Gamora, who she summons with her hair as the medium. For those who don't know, Bayonetta is a witch, so you're going to be seeing a lot of demonic things like that throughout the game. We collect the axe that the beloved had dropped, and we also pick up that LP record. These LP records, when you exchange them at the store, the shopkeeper will give you certain weapons. So we pick up that one specifically for a weapon that we're going to be using a little bit later. Bayonetta has a flashback and there's a fight with Fortitudo that emerges, and what we're performing here is a technique called Bullet Climax. Bullet Climax is a technique that you get by default at the start of the game, which allows Bayonetta to shoot a lot of bullets from either her hands or her feet. It is a bit of button mashing, but it allows us to take Fortitudo down fast there. Also perform that same technique for the beloved who spawns in here. It can be also performed with the feet. And now for this fight, I want to try and stay in the air. Because you'll notice now that the beloved grabs onto the bridge and he will be ramming it to the side wall. If Bayonetta stands on that bridge, she gets a little stagger animation. So we want to stay in the air so that we can do continuous damage to him. We're going to be using the axe that we had gotten from the previous fight. He spawns down here, and using the axe we can get rid of all of his health. Like so. And you'll notice in this animation, Bayonetta is on the platform with the beloved. Usually what he would do is, you would verse him there, he climbs up the stairs. But using the axe, because the axe does so much damage, you can kill him before he even gets there. And that's the end of chapter 1.
This be a good time for a donation?
Yep.
Well, we had a $10 donation from Sebs who just says, Gala Gang.
Hi, Sebs. Thank you. Cool. So in this chapter, I collected arcade bullets, and that is for the shots in this minigame. And the reason why we play this minigame in the speedrun is because from this minigame, from the points that you get, you can retrieve certain items, and there's one item in particular that we can't get at this shop that you get during this minigame that we're gonna need for the run. Oh gosh, okay, hopefully I can get this. Cool, okay, cool. Try and get 90 points because we want to get 3 of this item, which costs 30 points each, which is the Magic Flute. The Magic Flute is a consumable which does a burst of damage to the surrounding area in an AoE burst. And even though this is the no infinite flute glitch speedrun, we can still use it, we just have to make sure that we consume it normally. So this is chapter 2, Vigrid City of Deja Vu, and the first person that you fight is Jean. Jean is probably by far the most annoying fight in the speedrun because she can be very aggressive or very passive and decide to run away from you, which we don't like. Especially her first fight in the game. And one thing that you'll notice now when performing combos is there are these large feet or large hands that get summoned at the ends of the combos that Bayonetta now does. Where is Jean? There she is. And those large feet or large hands are called Wicked Weaves, and they can plant a lot of damage on Jean as well as other enemies throughout the game. Because that fight is a flashback, Bayonetta remembers that she can perform this one technique, which is Witch Walk, which allows Bayonetta to walk on the walls. So now for some parts of the game, Bayonetta will be able to crawl along the walls of certain buildings. we interact with the statue to the side, and coming closer to the door we activate it. For some doors in the game, it is a requirement to have witch time activated in order to progress through them. So for the new game run, we need to interact with that statue to progress forward. At the start of this fight, I grab one of the angels and try and ragdoll him into the others to try and get some damage output straight away. When I defeat this angel with the red cloak on, he will drop his angel bow. I'm also going to be performing a torture attack against... Oh, I torture attacked the wrong guy. That's okay. Usually would perform a torture attack on the second angel in red with his weapon. But I can make this work. And I use a magic flute. That magic flute clears out the angels that would be coming down, because it does an AoE burst. And that's it. Oh, there he is. There's one that's left over. You just have to pick him up. There we go. Cool. And we just progress forward. Coming up, we get introduced to a new angel type. If you've ever played Dark Souls, you might remember a certain enemy type called the Bone Wheel. In Bayonetta, we have something that is a bit similar. They can be rather pesky. Usually for this fight, I would have an angel bow from the previous fight, but because I unfortunately torture attacked the wrong guy, but that is okay. I can still make it work. Progressing forward, this fight spawns in, and there are some of the enchants on the walls. Give a punch and a kick to the beloved, and he's not doing too great. So he cries out, and there's a friend who comes along to save the day. So now there's two beloveds in the arena. First thing I do is get witch time from the one in the back by dodging the attack that he does with his axe. I kill the one with the lesser health, retrieve his weapon, and then we're going to be using that against his friend. That's it. And for some of the climax moves, you will notice that I won't be performing the Gigaton button mashing for them. That is because for some of them, specifically this one too, Gamora does a munching animation which is a bit slow. So for the ones where the animation is actually prolonged, if you perform it, are the ones that we're not going to be partaking in, but we will be partaking in some. Torture attack the angel in the back, he's here. Usually this angel would do this one move where I could get witch time, but he decided not to do that today, but that is okay. We can still take him out. Like so. Oh. Now this wall that you see here, usually you would have to do damage to it for a pathway to get created to go to the other side. And you would need witch time activated from a statue which is a bit further back. However, using the air dodge technique that we bought at the store, we can make it over without having to do that. We use the halberd from the angel from the previous fight as a stripper pole in front of Fortitudo's face, like you do, and now we're just going to be shooting a lot of bullets into his face. He tries to bite us with his other dragon head, but standing to the side, you can avoid getting hit by that at all. Fortitudo breathes a fireball, and what does Bayonetta do? She says, oh, okay. I'll throw the building at you. So she throws the building at his fireball. Very, very strong.
This game is amazing.
And that's the end of chapter 2.
I have a quick question. The butterflies that we keep seeing here, butterfly wings, and like all the other butterflies, is there like a story explanation for that, or is that just...
Well, her summon, one of them is Madame Butterfly, So her silhouette has the butterfly wings because of that. Like the punches and kicks of the Wicked Weaves are Madame Butterfly's hands and feet. So that explains that. Now before we go into chapter 3, we're going to go into the store and we're going to retrieve 2 weapons, the Onyx Roses and the Shuraba Sword, which we had collected from the LP records. Gonna be buying 2 Yellow Moon Lollipops, as well as buying 2 important techniques, the Stiletto technique and the Afterburner Kick technique. These 2 techniques are very important for quite a few, for a bit of skip tech as well as movement tech along the course of the run, which I'll get to show off. We equipped the Shuraba Sword as well as the Onyx Roses, which are a set of shotguns, and we equipped the Yellow Moon Lollipops. For this fight, because the enemies are on fire, Bayonetta cannot touch them normally, otherwise she gets a stagger animation, like that. So what we're going to try and do is get Witch Time where we can, wind up the sword, and we try and kill 8 angels. I think I might have miscounted. And the reason why we kill 8 is because after killing 8 we use the flute and that clears out the other wave that comes down. Now with a combination of the stiletto technique with the sword, we can perform this movement, which is Bayonetta going forth with the sword. And that is going to be the fastest movement that we now have on the run, which is like this. So this is a dog-style angel called a Fairness, though they don't often play very fair. And now with the Onyx Rose's guns, going to be using them to shoot them with a lot of damage. Because even though they are a shotgun with a short range, they can build up a lot of damage, which is nice. Now there is fire that emerges from the floor here, and there's statues that you usually would interact with to get Witch Time, but instead we use a Yellow Moon Lollipop. Yellow Moon Lollipops grant invincibility, meaning we can go through there without having to interact with the statues. Here, there is a little bit of a skip. Instead of having to go across the buildings, we can use the air dodge technique to fall through the middle and get to our destination faster. Because when you walk across the buildings, there are like these animations of the buildings getting blown up and breaking apart because of the lava, so that's a faster way to do it. Now this is a double fairness fight. What I'm going to try and do for this fight is I first try and push the first one in such a way so that I can get Witch Time then and hit them both together to try and perform damage to both enemies at once. He keeps avoiding me, which is very nice. Very evasive. That's okay. Have a little bit of a cutscene. There's gonna be a bit of button mashing that comes up, so I'm just gonna try and mash as much as I can for a shop that is going to be coming up a bit later. Cool. So we're now in the underground of Big Rid, and there is a special skip that is coming up, which I'll get to show up once I get there. So this is the Big Red Catacombs. In front of me, you'll notice there is a bridge. Usually to progress, you would need to go over that bridge and go through this portal that I'm bypassing because the bridge breaks and you need to reverse time and fix the bridge to go over. However, using the 2 techniques that we bought at this store, the Afterburner Kick technique as well as the Stiletto technique, we can perform this movement through the air. Ooh, this is not a very good angle. Yeah, that was not a good angle. That's okay. You can perform a movement through the air and you can make it to the other side. If I just line it up. Here we go. There is a platform in the distance that you can make it to. And then when I see the camera zoom out, it's kind of a cue for me as to when to do the second afterburner kick so I can get on top of here. Like so. And that skips the segment where the bridge breaks. There's all this stuff that happens, so that's a very good skip, using the techniques that we had. Oh. And now we just need to make it to the end of the chapter. Like so. And the next chapter will be here, which is in a Colosseum, which I'll get to show off.
Oh, what a day!
I pointed out Fortitudo a few times. He was a larger enemy with 2 dragon heads. We're now going to be versing him in the Observatory Colosseum. He is a boss fight dedicated to this chapter, the Cardinal Virtue of Fortitude. Chapter 4. At the beginning, we try and trip him over. And what we're going to be performing is using the bullet climax technique with the Onyx Roses on the feet. We try and do a lot of damage to his health when he is staggered over. Once he receives a certain amount of damage, he will go into the next parts of his fight. He flies up to perch himself above the arena. Once he does that, he will breathe fire on the floor, and when he does, I'm just going to move around a little bit so that he doesn't stagger Bayonetta. Now, we jump to him, and we grab him, and Bayonetta's now going to suplex Fortitudo to the floor. He's just
I
gonna
was
be
hoping so much you were gonna say suplex.
Yeah. Because even though Bayonetta lost her memory, she didn't forget her wrestling moves. And she rips off one of Fortitudo's heads and sends it off to hell like you do.
Like you do.
Now for the other head, I'm going to try and perform something a little bit special. If you stand in a specific spot, when he lowers his head to breathe fire, you can get Witch Time, do damage to the head, and then trip him over. I use a Wicked Weave with the sword because the weave with the sword will reach his face. And now we do enough damage to him to send him off to the next part of his fight. If you don't do that, he breathes fire all over the floor, and it can get rather messy and not very fast. So that is a good way to progress the fight, getting Witch Time there and doing enough damage so that he goes up there again. And this
I
is
hate
just
it when I
similar
get
to
fire all over my floor. So messy.
And this is just similar to as before. She rips off the other dragon head. Now, Fortitudo isn't doing too great. He is very angry, very upset. So he's gonna verse us now in a little bit of a different setting. And for this phase, we mainly use the sword. For a lot of bosses in Bayonetta for the speedrun, the sword is very effective to use. I'm seeing it used especially for a lot of the late game bosses. When he is away from the platform, it's not very nice. We try and do enough damage to him. Bayonetta now summons another one of her infernal demons, but this one is a bit different. This one's name is Malphus, and Malphus is a big bird. And Malphus is gonna pecked. Pecked for the turtle to death. Like so. And that's the end of that chapter.
This be a good time for a donation?
Yep, this is a good time.
Counter Kitty sends in $10 and says, amazing run and amazing commentary. Good job, Gala.
Thank you. Thank you for the donation. It's for a good cause.
It is for a very good cause.
So the next chapter is chapter 5. There's a lot of new angel types that are going to get introduced, and one of them in particular is very fast, very vicious, and can do a lot of damage to your health, so I'll get to show them off. So we're just using the stiletto movement with the sword. The floor below us is breaking apart, but doing it in the air we don't have to deal with the floor breaking up. And the lovely enemy type is coming up soon. They are Grace and Glory. At the beginning I try and get witch time and hit them both with the sword to get damage on multiple enemies at once. They come in red and blue. I specifically try and kill the red one first because the one that you kill first will drop their weapon. And the one in red has a fire element, whereas the one in blue has an electricity element. And the one with the fire element has a certain move that we want for the next fight. I almost fell down there, but that is okay. It does this, which is a spinning with the claw. We use that to try and clear out the first dog style angel. This one looks very similar to the Fairness Angel, but they are called a Fearless and they have a tail. So it's a slightly different angel type. There are some angels that are there, but it is not a requirement for me to verse them. I can just bypass over them. For a lot of the fights in the game, it is not necessary to have to verse them. So for those fights in the speedrun, I won't be partaking in, but the fights that you need to complete that have an invisible wall that needs to be removed to progress are the fights that I'm going to be doing. After we go through that portal, we're in this flying perspective through the air, and we just try and not hit the angels because they will slow us down. That are there. Once we get to the other side, there's another Grace and Glory fight. For the Grace and Glory fights, we use a triple punch, triple kick combo. That is because with the sweeping of the legs, you can trip them over. And because they're very fast, tripping them over is very effective to give an opportunity to hit them. These are called Harmonies. They are a Stingray style angel type. We try and go to the side platform as they usually collect together and we can take them out together. Fortunately they kind of spawned a little bit further out of each other, but that's okay. Now I'm collecting this weapon because I'm going to be needing it for the next fight. And also during the course of this chapter, I'm collecting the LP record pieces. In some chapters in Bayonetta, the LP is split up. And for this chapter, we are collecting it for a very important weapon that I'm going to be showing off. At the start of this fight, I shoot the first angel in the head, and then I use the spinning of the claw in between them to try and do as much damage to both of them as possible to take them out together. We have to just go up this tower now. Fire is on, the floor is on fire, so I have to be careful with that. That door that is in front of Bayonetta, it is a requirement to have witch time activated in order to progress through there, so we have to go up here to gain access to the statues, and to gain access to them, we have to perform another fight. My health is a little bit concerning, but that's okay. Now we gain access to the statues, we can activate it, get the lightning bolt, dodge, and get wish time to go through the door. There's a little bit of a skip here. Using the afterburn kick technique, we can make it up that wall without having to go around the whole spiral way. And now this is the final piece to the LP record. So we now have a full LP for a weapon that I'll be exchanging in just a moment. Ooh. I'm gonna try and go up this spiral snake way as fast as possible. Trip the inspired who flies in the air. That is an inspired, it's like a snake style angel type. And if you go up fast enough, you can get a quick kill. There is a second inspired angel type that flies in the background, and if you go up that path very fast, you can get a quick kill because the game thinks that you killed the second inspired as well, and it thinks you killed the enemy twice. That it does like a instant death, basically. Now from the shop, we collected a new weapon from this chapter, which is called the Durga. The Durga is a set of claw-like weapons with the elements of fire and lightning. In the speedrun, we only use the fire element and we wear them on the feet, and I'll get to show them off in the next fight. This is Temperance. He has some noodly looking arms. We're not going to be versing him right now, we're going to be seeing him a bit later. But there is someone that we do have to verse. And that is Jean, the second Jean fight. What the Durga can do is the Durga can plant these explosives, and you can see how much damage they do to Jean's health. You can take her down very fast. This is a weapon that we're going to be using a lot throughout the rest of the run. At the end of this chapter, we get a technique which is Beast Within or Panther Within. Panther Within is the fastest form of movement that we have on the speedrun. So from now on, you won't be seeing the stiletto movement with the sword, you'll just be seeing Panther Within, which is running in Panther form. From this chapter, I collected a lot of arcade bullets, which you get naturally from a lot of the fights. So I'm going to be playing Angel Attack here, so if there are any donations that need to be read, this is a good opportunity to do so while I just play this minigame.
Oh, that's wonderful. We actually do have a donation. Roboto sent in $20 and says Bayonetta was a tough playthrough, so it's a blast to see someone tear through it.
Thank you.
I have to agree. I'm like absolutely transfixed.
Oh, hope you enjoy it, yeah. It's a nice run. So yeah, from that Angel Attack, I just got some more magic flutes, which I'll be using for the rest of the run. And before we go into the next chapter, I'm going to be taking a pit stop to the store because now there are some techniques that are now available, which we're going to be purchasing, which is Bat Within as well as Crow Within. Crow Within is going to be used for a few skips along the rest of the run, and I'm also going to be buying some more Yellow Moon Lollipops, which I'm going to be using for some boss fights. And now we have the Gates of Paradise. Start off by seeing the Panther form movement in action. It is now the fastest form of movement that we now have. We also get to see the Durga used against smaller angel types. When there are enemies, it clustered in such a way where there is a larger angel type in amongst smaller angel types. We usually try and aim for the larger angel in the middle because the smaller angels will clump up around them. In this next area, there is a skip. Usually what you would do is you would interact with those two statues that I'm bypassing, which creates a fight. And after you defeat that fight, there are platforms that emerge for you to get on top of here. However, using the techniques that we now have, the afterburner kick technique as well as the crow form technique that we bought, we can make it up here without having to perform that fight. And can get on top of here first. Also get to see the dagger used against Grace and Glory. It really does a lot of damage to them, which is very nice. Now before the second wave pops in, I try and activate this claw and then spin to try and clear them out together. That one went on the wall there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that is it. In this room, we get introduced to a new character who is Little Cereza. She is in that purple dome that you see. You'll notice now underneath Bayonetta's health bar that there is another health bar which is purple with a little girl symbol in it. That is Cereza. We have to protect her from the pesky angels that are bullying Cereza. So we just have to try and take them down.
Those pesky angels.
Yeah. They usually don't get an opportunity to hit her though in the speedrun, which is nice. You'll get to see her briefly to the left, she's the little girl.
You just protect her and then you're like, well, bye.
Well, we still have to protect her because now she's getting chased by a beloved. Oh no. So we have to throw the debris from the side back to try and encourage her to keep moving because she's what determines how fast or how slow this segment is. So we have to try. She can also fall over like that though, which is unfortunate. But we just try and throw as much debris back as possible so that he will hopefully not catch up to her while she's trying to run. But yeah, she sometimes falls over. She's very scared. It's okay, Cereza, keep running. I usually have a rhythm with what ones I throw back, but sometimes when she falls over a lot, gets messed up. Because she determines like with the camera moving, so if she stops, the camera stops and I can't go forward. So it's important to try and get her to keep moving. Now after we go through that portal, we are now in the Paradiso realm where all the angels hang out. There are some of the Fairness Fearless angels here, but we don't have to deal with them because there are fireballs from above that deal with them for us, which is very nice. However, we do still have to deal with the Beloved. Like the Beloveds previously, they have a weak point on their back. So what I'm going to be doing is performing the Afterburner Kick technique to get enough height to his back. And then plant the Durga explosives to try and do a lot of damage to his health. If you hit them right on the weak point, you can take him out like all of his health. Yeah. And this is one of the cutscenes that you can't skip in the game. Or it's the Beloved crying out that we took his child. He's very sad and Gamora eats him. Like so. This
child is remarkably calm now.
Yeah, but we see that the person that is holding Little Cereza isn't Bayonetta. That person has a halo. This is Bayonetta. So we still have to protect Cereza. Oh no. I use a Yellow Moon Lollipop so that none of these lasers will interrupt Bayonetta's movement going forward here. We have to find out who this imposter is. It's trying to be Bayonetta. We find out that it is a Joy. A Joy is a humanoid style angel type. These Joys have the ability to duplicate into two enemies, so we try and clear them out as fast as possible so that they don't get the opportunity to do that. They, however, can bounce back and decide to duplicate if they decide to, but hopefully we don't have that happen, and it didn't happen, so that's good. And that's the end of that chapter.
Is it a good time for another donation?
There's just something I want to explain soon, so I'll let you
no
know
problem.
afterwards. So the next chapter is dedicated to a boss fight, and there's something very special that we start to do in the run with this boss. There is an exploit that we have. Whenever Bayonetta has a firearm on the feet of one weapon set and Durga on the other, which is the claw style weapon that we have, during the kicking animation of 4 punches and then kicks, during the kicks, if I switch weapon sets to the weapon set that has a firearm, Bayonetta can shoot bullets during that animation and can create a very high damaging combo. And we use that against Temperance for this fight. Once we do a certain amount of damage to his arm, he punches, we crawl up his arm, and there are these capsules that we have to break open. Bayonetta summons another one of her infernal demons, but this one's name is Hecatonchia, which is these hairy hands. I think it means like 100 hands or something like that, when translated. And we rip off his arm. So then we switch weapon sets, and then I shoot a lot of the Onyx Rose's bullets. This can be done with any sort of firearm in the game. We also do this to a boss who comes a lot later in the run, which I'll get to show off too. We crawl up his arm, and using the sword, we break open the capsule and then climax again. He tries to struggle, but he gets punched in the gut instead, and now we're just gonna rip off the other arm. Like so. There are still capsules on his body though that we need to open up. So I use a stiletto with the sword and then bullet climax with the Onyx Rose's shotguns on the hands. In the new game normal run, there are 3 capsules on his body. I'm pretty sure on infinite climax difficulty there are a few more. But yeah, in normal difficulty there are just 3. Once we break open those capsules, his face emerges from his force field, and he is very upset, wondering what's going on. I use a yellow moon lollipop so that none of his attacks will interrupt Bayonetta performing this exploit on him. And then we just get rid of the rest of his health using the Shurova sword. And if you'd like to read a donation, you're most welcome to now.
Alright, well we just have one donation here from Slaybot66. Who sent in $10 and says Gala Cozy.
Thank you. So the next chapter has one of the biggest skips, well actually the biggest skip of the whole speedrun, which I'll get to show off once we get there. So this is Route 666. The setting of this chapter is Bayonetta on some trucks and cars with some angels on the road. First thing I do is try and get witch time and kick these larger angels off to the side. I use a magic flute in this corner to clear out the angels on the left, and then we go to the right and we use the Durga explosives to blow off the extra 2 angels that are hanging around. The next fight is a few joys. I equip the Mega Yellow Moon Lollipop and use it. These joys can do a kick like that, which I can get witch time from. And the reason why we use the Yellow Moon Lollipop is because you will notice that there are these cars and trucks that are driving around. If you don't have this activated, they can like interrupt me doing damage to them. So we use that so that we can... Oh gosh. Where is she? I'm taking that. Now the skip is coming up. For this segment, usually you would have to do a whole motorbike racetrack to verse this angel, which is in the form of a car whose name is Ironic. However, in the speedrun, we have a skip. As soon as this segment starts and Bayonetta is on her motorbike, we go straight into the menu. Going to the menu, we use a magic flute and we go into Panther form. It allows us to go in Panther form, which allows us to go backwards over the finish line. Once we see the score screen, we hit the wall to readjust, and going over the finish line again, the game will think that we did the whole motorbike racetrack when all we did was go backwards. Because what happens when you use the flute at the start is because when you go into the menu, time is paused. Going into that flute animation of using the flute allows Bayonetta to go into Panther form, and then when in Panther form we can turn around and go backwards that way. It freezes her model. And that skips about 4 minutes. So that's a very good skip. The next 2 chapters are set in the Paradiso realm, or Paradise. First one being Paradiso, a remembrance of time. As you can see, it's a very angelic setting, and the music very heavenly. We go to the side here, and we go behind this wall to open a chest. In that chest is a piece to an LP record for a weapon that we are going to be collecting for endgame. Coming up, we have a skip. Using the afterburn kick technique up this wall, upwards and downwards, and then going into crow form, we can make it on top of this sphere. Below this sphere, there is a fight that you usually would perform to get on top of here. That creates a pathway to get on top. However, using those techniques, we can make it up on top of here without having to perform that fight. We put the key in the keyhole. Little skip here. When we use the afterburner kick technique, we can get the gravity from the upper platform to take us to it that way. This is a golem. There is this whole Indiana Jones sort of segment with this snake way. However, because the invisible wall is not high enough, we can actually make it over that invisible wall and fall down to the lower ring. And we can skip having to do that running around segment. Yeah, because the afterburner kick technique gives a lot of height, we use that a lot for skips in Bayonetta. It's very helpful. In this verse, there are chests, and in those chests are pieces to a key as well as enemies that pop out. In this chest, once I crack it open, I'll get witch time from the enemy who spawns in. We'll take him down. Just defeat the other one. We collect the enemy weapon, we use it to open the final chest, activate it, and then we kill the dub style angel type that comes out. Even though we got pieces to the key, we're not actually going to be putting the key in the keyhole, because instead we can use our techniques to make it across like so. However, we do need to perform that fight because we need an invisible wall to be removed to progress forward. This angel type is called a kinship. They are like a ship style angel type. They have a weak point on them similar to the beloved, and we just plant the Durga explosives to blow them up. And we collect the LP record piece that spawns in after that fight. Now that we have the Durga claws on the feet, we can perform this faster spinning movement through this perspective. Just have to make sure I land on the platform. There is a fight with joys there, but it is not a requirement to verse them. You can just bypass them and keep going forward. There's the golem again. We're going to be seeing him a little bit later. We take a detour here because behind this wall is the final piece to the LP record. So now we have a full record that we're going to exchange at the store a bit later for a weapon that I'll get to show off quite a bit later. Oh, I missed the platform entirely. That is okay. Yeah, because I missed it the first time, I was a little bit late. You get squashed. If your movement is superb though, you can make it through here without getting squashed at all. Which is very nice.
I was not expecting the, like, Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah. Now we have to burst the golem. The thing about the golem is that the golem has several different forms. Like, he has hands, he also has a form where he turns into a bird and several other forms. And the objective is to do damage to this sphere, which is the weak point, to break him open. There is a prompt to do a climax, however we do not perform the climax because the climax animation is slow. Instead, we wait about 3 or 4 seconds and then planning an explosive, we can take him out faster that way. The animation though is very flashy and very cool, so if you ever play this game casually, you'll get to see it. But in the speedrun, it's too slow, so we gotta skip that.
Is this a good time for a donation?
Yep, this is a good time.
I have a donation here from RZR360. They sent in $20 and said, wow, that dude had such a long face. Heck, a ton of chairs had none of it, though. Good luck on the run. Gala Gang represent.
Thank you. So this is Paradiso, a Sea of Stars. Oh. To try and get that move from them so that we can get witch time. Then plant the explosives to try and take them out. There she is. We'll take that. After this fight, we're gonna be falling down here, and if I land in a specific spot, if I can do it, I go into the menu and I use a flute. Using that flute gets all of the 3 gears like that, very good. And we get the gears to form, because the walls, you need to do damage to them for the gears to form. Because the flute does damage to the surrounding area, if you land in a certain spot, you can get all 3. If you're a bit off with where you land, you get 2 of them, but I got all 3, so that was very nice. Because if you don't use the flute, you have to go up to each one, and there's an animation of the gear forming for each one, so that saves a little bit of time. There are some harmonies, and we just blow them up like that. Just one-shot them. These are some miniature versions of the bosses that we had previously. That was for the tutor, we just blow them up. This is Temperance again. They don't have as much health as their boss counterparts. And we're just going to be using the Durga exploit to do a lot of damage to their health. And take them out. This platform here is spinning around. Just have to wait for it to come around to land on it. There are some enchants in here. I wait a slight moment because we have to wait anyway for the platform that comes on the other side. And if you go in there straight away, they can be rather aggressive. So we just wait a slight moment so we can go through with ease. The next fight looks a lot like Grace and Glory, however they are called Gracious and Glorious, and the main difference between them and Grace and Glory is Gracious and Glorious, when you dodge their attacks you don't get Witch Time, which can make them rather pesky to deal with, because Witch Time is usually what you use to take advantage of an enemy and you can't use that for them. You just have to fight them normally, without Witch
Sounds
Time.
neither gracious nor glorious.
Yeah. That is the final set of enemies that we're going to be versing for this chapter. There is a finale fight to the left, however we have a skip. Using the afterburner kick technique, upwards and downwards again, we can make it on top of that platform which is out of bounds. I fell down, that's okay, we can do that again. And when getting on top of that ledge, you can jump over the final fight, which is below. There's the fight going that way. But I need to do double down. I'm used to doing one down, but I have to do two. I'm still a little bit low. This is okay. There we go, nice. Then we run in panther form, jump in panther form, and then we go into crow form, and we make it to the end of the chapter. We can go through this portal. Below us there is this whole fight with all these beloveds and inspired angels and all these other angels, but instead we can fly over the top like that. Next chapter is dedicated to a boss fight, the cardinal virtue of justice. Before we see the boss though, there's just a few angels that we need to pick off. Like the previous fights, when there's a larger angel type, we try and focus on the larger angel type, as the smaller angel types will clump together with them. Ooh, he's over here. He was quite a distance away, but that's okay. Now for this boss fight, we will only be using the sword. This boss's name is Justitia, which means justice in Latin. And we're going to be using the Shurva sword slashes up against Justitia's face. When he receives a certain amount of damage, his face or his tongue, depending on how you want to look at it, neck, can be seen as several different things, comes down and we run along it to get to the face. Bayonetta gives him a nosebleed, and we're going to be chopping off the tongue. He cries out in pain. And when we come back to the platform, we fall down to the right straight away. And the reason is because if we don't, we have to wait for Justitia to break the platform anyway. So we want to go back to attacking straight away, so we just go to the side as soon as we come back from chopping off the tongue. After to do this amount of damage, he throws a boulder at us, and Bayonetta's just gonna be punching through it. And then punch him in the face. And we go up the tongue. Now this will be the final time. As you can tell, the pace of the music changes. do a lot of damage to his face. And we go up for the final time.
Tell you what, rad keyboard solo is not what I was expecting, but I'm 100% here for it.
Now, Itstitsia is not looking very good. Olive's tongues are chopped off. He looks like he wants to explode, and he comes to the platform for Bayonetta, and Bayonetta punches him in the nose again. Now she'll summon another one of her infernal demons, but this one's name is Scolopendra, and is a big hairy centipede. And Scolopendra's gonna strangle the boss. Like so. With a very big squish.
Tell you what, I was expecting the plane to come into play. I was expecting it. We have time for a donation here.
Yep, sure.
I have a donation from Enthus for $10 who says, have you mentioned Enzo? Don't forget about it. GLHF Gala, you're doing awesome.
Thanks, Enthus. The next chapter, which is The Broken Sky, is actually set on the plane that you saw in a military transport Valkyrie. To the side behind this wall there is a magic flute which we collect that we're going to be using for one of the fights near the end of this chapter. Now the plane is breaking up, and that is because those were Jean's wicked weaves punching through the plane. So you can probably guess who is in this chapter. There is a fight for her, and there is something that special that we do in the speedrun in regards to her fight, which I'll get to show up once we get there. But first, I just have a few angels that I need to get rid of. So usually to go to Jean's fight, you would progress forward. However, in the speedrun, we go backwards. Because this whole plane is a physical object, it is possible to get on top of the side of the plane, and then on top of the main part of the plane. Jean's boss fight is to the left. We go to the left into her boss fight arena to trigger her health bar and for her to appear, and we fall down to the right. She will follow us. By standing in a spot, we get witch time, and then we kick her off the plane. By doing so, her health bar will go to 0, and we go into her fight, triggering the cutscene as normal. However, instead of having to verse her, she will drop dead instantly in the fight for us. And because she has several phases in her fight, that is a very good way of getting rid of her fast.
So convenient. Drop dead.
Just kick her off the plane.
Like she literally dropped dead?
Now Cereza is also on this plane. We have to protect her from the angels again. So we're just going to be blowing them up. We put Cereza down here. She's in our arms. We put her down. And there are some harmonies here. When I see the blue aura, I go into the menu and I use that flute that I had collected at the start of the chapter, and that can clear them all out together. I wait for the blue aura because the blue aura means that there is more that are spawning in. So we make sure we see that before we use it so that we can get all of the harmonies together. And take them out together. Now the next chapter is dedicated to a boss fight, the cardinal virtue of prudence. We were in the plane before, and now we're on the ocean. This boss's name is Sapientia, and on each of Sapientia's legs, he has these faces that need to be cracked open. We use a punch-kick-punch combo with the sword, as the sword Wicked Weave has a very nice range and can reach the faces on his legs. Once you break open two of them, he decides to dive, and then when he comes up again, we will have to break open the faces on the other legs.
Again, I wasn't expecting wild surf battle, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. Now Bayonetta summons another one of her infernal demons. This is one we haven't seen before. His name is Phantasmatorine, if I said it correctly, and is a big spider. Sapientia doesn't like the spider. He's like, oh no, I gotta run away. But Bayonetta's gonna grab him, and she's gonna take him towards his plane. For this little segment, I just have to try and make sure that he is going the right direction. There are also these quick time event prompts that pop up with the Y and the B button. I just have to make sure that I hit them, because if I don't hit them, I will lose a lot of time. So I just have to be conscious of that. The spider munches Sapientia's face, and the shield is removed, so now the weak point is his face, which is going to be the part that I'm going to be trying to do damage to. One thing that Sapientia can do is he can decide to do multiple dives without warning. The one that he just did is pretty much scripted for the new game run, but he can dive multiple times, but he didn't do that, which was good. So we just try and do enough damage to him to send him to the next parts of his fight before he gets an opportunity to do that. And now for the final phase, we go down this water vortex with Sapientia at the bottom. We use a punch-kick-punch combo with the sword, as the sword Wicked Weave can reach him. When he pushes us back, I use a Yellow Moon Lollipop so that none of the lasers that he will do will interrupt Bayonetta doing damage to him. And we can take him out. Now we see the spider again. He is very big. He's huge. Very big spider. And it looks like someone's gonna turn into someone's lunch. And that's the end of Sapientia's boss fight.
I should have been a pole dancer.
Bayonetta beach blanket Babylon.
Before we go into the next chapter, I'm going to be going into the store and I'm going to be retrieving a weapon from an LP that I had collected in a previous chapter, as well as buy some items and an accessory. So the weapon that we are retrieving is the Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore, which is a set of rocket launchers. We're also buying Celine's Light, and we're going to be buying some Bloody Rose lollipops, as well as Yellow Moon lollipops. And I'm going to be buying a Mega Purple Magic lollipop. And I'll get to explain them all once they become relevant along the course of the run. So this is Isla del Sol. First thing I do is equip the rocket launchers, and I'm going to be equipping the Bloody Rose lollipops. The start of the Isla del Sol chapter is a shoot 'em up segment. There are these angels that spawn in, and we just have to shoot them down in this little ship. The thing about this shoot 'em up segment is that we want to try and just take the enemies out as fast as possible, because how fast we take out the waves determines how fast the next wave will spawn in. So that's just what I'm going to be doing for this segment. Now this segment is rather long and is rather repetitive, so if there are any donations that come in, or if there's anything that needs to be said, this is the perfect opportunity to do so. So you're most welcome to read as much as you like.
Oh, that is wonderful news. Well, I would like to remind everybody, as they are getting their donations in for the mental health nonprofit Take This, that we have a variety of goals and bid wars that you can put your donation towards for runs that are coming up later this morning or earlier this morning, however you think of it, including the next one that we have on deck as far as our goal is for Magic Boy to show off the soft block, and we don't have any donations towards that at all. We're looking for $200, so when you're getting those donations in, don't forget to click on those goals. We also have a bid war for Odin Sphere to pick the character route, and there is only a single donation towards that so far. Somebody put $5 towards Velvet. So if you're wanting to snipe that, if you want to see Cornelius's route, Gwendolyn's route, Mercedes' route, or Oswald's route, it will cost you the low price of $6 to snipe that. Get on in there. I love Gwendolyn myself.
Nice.
I would also like to remind people that we have some really awesome prizes available this time around, and in fact becoming available in just 5 minutes. Well, I guess it depends on what time zone you're in. If you're not in my time zone, if you are in an Eastern time zone, already available, there is this beautiful, yeah, you can, if you look in the chat, you can see that there's a link. You can have a look at it. The Hope Take This has donated some Hope Shields made by Wormwood Gaming. They're really beautiful. Every Hope Shield comes in a box of hope and is created from a random wood. You can use it as a worry stone and a reminder that you're not alone. So normally you can only get this loot from donating directly to a Take This Hope booth during a convention. So all of these are rare prizes.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I got distracted. My cat came over for pets. Like,
Oh, cute.
like, let's talk about prizes. I mean, hi kitty.
Cute. Yeah, this segment is just repetitive. You see a lot of like angel types that we've seen previously in the game. Like right now there's beloveds here, but in this segment they just made them a little bit different. They gave them fireball rocket launchers, so that's cool. Yeah. So it's more of a memory game, this segment. You just have to know what angels are spawning in after. Spawning in when, and then you just shoot them down when you remember where they're located. So yeah, there isn't a lot of RNG here, it's just memory. Just have to remember. And for these like mini bosses, I use Bloody Rose Lollipops, because Bloody Rose Lollipops give extra attack damage. So we use that for the mini bosses to take them down first. For these king ships that do a laser beam, you can just go to the top of the screen and they don't hurt you, so that's just an easy way to go past them. Now the music changes. Instead of being very bubbly, it gets very eerie and mysterious. Because the final boss of this shoot 'em up segment is coming up. The suspense rises. Or something like that. Find out who it is. Who will it be? We'll find out that it is Temperance. I use a Bloody Rose Lollipop for extra attack damage, and I'm also going to be using a Yellow Moon Lollipop so that none of these green bullets will interrupt me doing damage to him, to his face. Just going to be shooting a lot. And then when he lowers his arms, I'm going to be shooting a lot of leaves at him. And then getting rid of him. Now coming up next is a very important fight with a lot of tech, so I'm going to want to explain quite a bit for this fight. This is the final time that we verse Jean. First thing I do is I go into the menu and I equip Celine's Light, which is the accessory that we bought, and I use a magic purple lollipop. What Celine's Light does is when you have a portion of the magic gauge filled up available, Celine's Light will activate when you are hit by an enemy, activating Witch Time, which gives us an opportunity to take advantage of an enemy. Now, on the opposite weapon set to the dagger on the feet, we now have the Kilgore rocket launchers. The Kilgore are usually a slow weapon which fires rockets, but using the exploit with the dagger, we can fire a lot of the rockets within a short amount of time and do a heap of damage. Come on, Jean. Oh, she did that. Okay. So I switch weapon sets and then I'm shooting a lot of the rockets at her. The objective is to get Witch Time, and then in Witch Time, exploit her. One thing about Jean, which is interesting to take note of, is that whenever Bayonetta goes into Panther form, Jean will want to chase you in her version of Beast form. And when she does, she will always do an attack with her sword coming out of it. A downwards attack with her sword, like this. And that attack gives us an opportunity to activate Celine's Light. Since to activate Celine's Light, we get hit by an enemy, and Witch Time activates. So that way we can get Witch Time and then exploit her. Because she reads us when we go into Panther form. Which is very cool. Very cool thing to do. Cool technique. Now the next chapter is a Tower to Truth. In this chapter there's going to be a bit of repetition of enemies that we have previously throughout the game. So this is also a good chapter for any donation reading or things that need to be said as well. If there's anything that needs to be said too.
Great. Well, I want to remind everybody that Speedrun Ragnarok 2020 has some really cool shirts, and the link is up in Twitch chat already if you want to take a look. Not only do we have the logo designs from the previous years, but there is a limited edition design for this year with a really cool gradient on it. So if you have not yet taken a look, and I personally really love the design of the logo. I've already ordered them too. So get in there, get your Speedrun Ragnarok swag, and there are a variety of options, including a unisex tee, tank, pullover hoodie, long sleeve tee, baseball tee, slim fit tee, and football jersey tee.
Awesome.
I would also like to remind everybody that everyone who donates at any point in the marathon is entered to win one of 4 games that were graciously donated. We have Collection of Mana for the Switch, World Ends With You, Final Remix version for the Switch, Kingdom Hearts 3 for the PS4, and the Kingdom Hearts compilation for the PS4. So any donation of any amount will enter you to win one of those. In addition, we have a Final Fantasy VII Perler set by Kinda Nerdy Housewife. And if you look on the prize page, these Perlers are adorable.
Yeah, I saw them. They were very cute.
Man, all of the prizes are really, really cute. I went to the prize page and I was like, cute prizes? Really cute prizes?
Very cute.
Coming up later in the week, there's a Kirby coaster set. Oh, like a Perler coaster set. They're so cute. There's Take This has an official Penny Arcade heart pin. There are some Sailor Moon magical accessory sun catchers and a Pac-Man magnet set that are also Perlers. And I personally am like really excited about I have a special place in my heart for Final Fantasy IV. So then there's a Paladin Cecil pendant set, and it's one of a kind hand-woven bead pendant of Cecil in a Paladin form, and they're just the prizes are really exciting, y'all. Please get in there with those donations, all for a really good cause.
With Temperance here, I'm just shooting him in the face to stagger him and take him down. He can do a laser like that, which isn't very nice, but we just try and shoot him in the face with these contraptions to take him down ASAP. When coming out of here, the camera pans to the left. There is a technique that we got near the start of the game, which was Witch Walk, which allows Bayonetta to walk on the walls. So now Bayonetta will be walking up the tower here of this building. There are some elevators that come down, but we just jump through the middle and don't have to deal with them. For here, we activate the claw that we had gotten from a previous fight. Use a Yellow Moon Lollipop so that none of his attacks will interrupt us doing damage to him. And we take him down first using that claw. Just repeats of some enemies that we had seen throughout the game in this segment. Of miniature versions of the bosses and other enemies. The final set of skips are coming up. Smaller one being you can do afterburner kicks to get on top of this platform without having to go up the little plates. And a larger one here, instead of having to use this contraption which brings plates to you to get across to the other side, we can use our techniques, Panther form, jumping, as well as crow form, and we can make it to the other side without having to use that contraption. Once we're here, there is a golem fight. The thing different about this golem fight from the previous ones though is that this one has a centipede form. Also, something interesting about the golem just in general is that each of his forms is like corresponding to one of Bayonetta's summons. Which is interesting. As before, we don't perform the climax move because the climax is slow. We just wait for the golem to recollect and we blow up the portion of health that's there. Witch walking up this wall. There's one final enemy for this chapter that we're going to be versing, which is Sapientia, or a miniature version of Sapientia. And there is a special technique that I'm using here. This technique is called the dodge offset. It is a technique that you get by default at the start of the game, which I have used throughout the whole course of the run. And essentially what it does is it allows you to it allows you to continue your combos after dodging. So there with Sapientia, we plant a Dagger Explosive with the feet, and then because Panther Form is activated by pressing the dodge button twice, we go into Panther Form, and then coming out of Panther Form we can continue our combo afterwards and plant another one. And the dodge offset is very good for combat, to make combat more fluid. You could be versing an enemy and then you dodge and then continue your combo afterwards, throwing a weave or something like that. So yeah, it's a very good technique to make combat more fluid. The final two chapters are coming up, and they are both dedicated to boss fights, which can be pretty RNG heavy, so we'll see how they behave today. The first one being the Lumen Sage. For the Lumen Sage, I'm going to be shooting little gunshots at him. He put me in that orb, which is not very nice. Okay. Gonna be shooting little gunshots at him to try and aggravate him to come closer to me on the platform. And by doing these gunshots, we try and aggravate him to do a 3-hit combo, which we allow ourselves to get hit by so that we can activate Celine's Light to get Witch Time. And then we use the Durga Exploit on him, shooting a lot of the Kilgore rockets at him. After doing it once, Bayonetta summons Gamora, and we can see what happens with the Lumen Sage. The Lumen Sage cracks Gamora's neck. Oh no. So now we have to do that again. So he gives us an attack that we want, which is a 3-hit combo. For the second time, Bayonetta summons the Centipede, Scarlet. Tried to squish the Lumen Sage, but it didn't work. Instead, he mocks us a little bit by combing his hair. Now this will be the final time.
She just combed his hair with like a peacock cutter?
Yep.
I'm here for it.
And this is the final time. So now Bayonetta shoots a bullet, which is actually her lipstick. She shoots it at Boulder, and we have to direct it into Boulder's forehead without touching the glass. And that's the end of him.
I should have been a pole dancer.
Congratulations on defeating the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, he looks a bit like with the mask. Now coming up next is the final chapter for the speedrun, which is dedicated to a boss fight who is just as mean or even more mean. We'll have to see how she behaves today. In Epilogue Requiem. And at the start of this chapter, you play as Jeanne. You're not versing her, but you're playing as her. Jeanne is on her motorbike, and we use a mega yellow moon lollipop so that none of these angels that are behind Jeanne will interrupt her movement on the motorbike, because we want her driving as straight and as fast as possible. We don't want her getting interrupted by anything. And you might be wondering, why are we playing as Jeanne? Didn't we defeat her before? What's she doing? And well, there were a lot of events that had happened, and right now we're playing as Jean, and Jean is coming to save Bayonetta. And the theme that is playing right now in the background is my favorite theme of the game, and it is called Friends. So even though they fought each other throughout the game, they're friends in the end. So Jean comes to save Bayonetta. And this is a good time for any donations that need to be catched up on. Because it's just me cruising on through.
Oh, lovely. Blank LA sends in $5 and it says, always fun to watch Bayonetta. Such a crazy game. Put this towards runner's choice.
Awesome.
And I believe you told me your choice was the next goal.
Yep.
That is coming up, which is towards Magic Boy to show off the soft lock. So that is our very first donation towards unlocking, showing off that soft lock.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Blank LA.
And now in Jean's beast form, which is actually called Link's form for Jean. Jean is also a playable character in the game. For one of the speedruns on the leaderboard, we typically use Jean for the New Game Plus Infinite Climax run. She's a lot of fun to play as. And for now, we just have to get her to the final boss, which is Jubileus the Creator. I say Jubileus is an RNG boss because the moves that she decides to do will determine how long or how short this boss fight will be. She's giving me punches, which is very nice. When she gives a punch, we dodge the last punch to get witch time, and then we use the sword to do damage to her. For this first segment, she will summon different elements, and the first element that she summons is fire. She puts her hair strands on these rocks. And we just have to go to them and hit them all. Jubileus now does a scream. Once we hit her hair, we jump on the platforms and then hit her in the face again. And the next element that she will summon will be ice. The hair strands for this ice phase are in a similar position as the fire phase, except now there's just ice everywhere. And there are these icicles that fall from the ceiling, so I just have to watch out for them because I don't want to hit them, otherwise Bayonetta turns into an ice cube, and that's not very fast, so just have to look out for them.
Is it all Looney Tunes style, like the flattening though?
Yeah, kind of. She's just an ice cube. Now we hit Jubileus in the face. The next elemental phase is the one that I dislike the most. I don't like it that much. It is a lightning storm phase. Jubileus puts her hair strands on these platforms, and in order to get to them, you need to get jump prompts to smaller platforms to hit them. One thing Jubileus can do is she can decide to cast lightning and break the smaller platforms. So I have to be a bit careful. Make sure I hit them. And yeah, you usually don't want to dodge the lightning bolt because you get witch time and that slows things down. Didn't mean to do that. That's okay. After hitting her hair, she bundles up and we just have to jump to her again. And as per tradition, we hit her in the face and hit her in the face a bit more.
It's traditional.
Now we'll see what she can decide to do here. There is one move in particular that she can decide to do, which is just straight up time loss, which is this. Beautiful. It is like a black hole vortex which she summons, and all you can do is run away. If you don't run away from it, you get sucked in and it's a game over. So you really don't want to get sucked in by that. All we can do is run away when that happens, because her hair strands can't be damaged either. What she just did there was a frisbee move. We purposely allowed the frisbees to hit us, and Bayonetta goes into her small child form. Because if you let them hit you, she will do the punch attack faster straight away afterwards. And she decided to do the time lost move again. Oh no, Jubilee's why?
Oh no!
Twice. Damn, marathon luck. Now she wants to punch. That's good. Thank you. Now we have done enough damage to her. She's tripped over kind of. Bayonetta now summons her hair as a walkway. So we're going to be running up along the hair. Now we're going to hit her in the face a bit more.
Traditional.
Now it's time for the final climax, which I'll let you enjoy. With a combination of Jean's hair as well as Bayonetta's hair, together they summon Queen Sheba. Now Queen Sheba's gonna punch Jubileus, the god, into the sun with a big bang bonus. She punches Jubileus' soul out of her body towards the sun. However, to make sure that we get Jubileus into the sun, we have to make sure that she doesn't hit any of the planets along the way. So I'm just going to be directing her in such a way that we make sure that she doesn't get hit. One thing to take note of this part is it is not just where Jubileus' model is, it is also like your camera. If your camera has the planet smack bang in the middle of it, it will still count as you hitting the planet even though Jubileus might be floating somewhere else. So I have to be conscious of that too. We're going past here. And there's Earth. Everybody wave. Passing Earth. Now Mercury's coming up. We go up. And we have successfully directed Jubileus into the sun. And you think it would be over here because she turns to a crisp. However, we have to really make sure that she died. So we're gonna break up her body to smithereens. For this part, there are these lock-on points on her body parts, which I just have to take note of because sometimes if I don't hit in the correct spot, it won't actually break. So I just take note of that. Yeah, we just have to make sure that she never comes back ever again. So, Bayonetta and Jean together, they work together to break up her body. There's Jean there too. You can see her a little bit. And now in Bayonetta speedrunning, we do not stop the timer on the first set of credits because there are fights within the credits that determine how long our run will be. So there's just going to be a few fights here that I'm going to be doing, but until then, I hope you will enjoy the groovy music.
I'm sorry, but is there anything more satisfying than punching the final boss's soul into the sun?
Yeah. Now the first fight is the first Jean fight that we had at the start of the game. However, now we do a lot more damage and we take her out straight away.
music confirming that Bayonetta is going to become a pole dancer, as she said she should have.
Oh, you'll get to see at the end. There's something special.
This game is the gift that keeps on giving.
And I might just take this moment to shout out the Bayonetta speedrunning community. If you are interested in learning either Bayonetta 1 or Bayonetta 2, you are most welcome to join the Bayonetta speedrunning Discord, which can be found attached to any of the Bayonetta speedrunning leaderboards on speedrun.com. We're very welcoming of new runners. There's a lot of us runners there who are very supportive. Always very exciting to see new runners pick up this game. When I first started, it was rather daunting because when I started, I had only done a first playthrough of it, but with perseverance, you can do anything, so. And I really love this game. It's a really good game. Sometimes it goes on sale for like $5, so I recommend picking it up. It goes on sale quite often. It's really nice. So yeah. I want to shout out some runners, Enthes, Ace Krana, and all the runners in the Bayonetta speedrunning community have been really lovely ever since I started running this game, so I want to shout out to them. And now the final fight is coming up very soon, which is in the cemetery at the start of the game. And that is the run. On the final hit on the Beloved, we stopped the timer. So, thank you so much everyone for watching my run. Thank you for having my run. Speedrun Ragnarok, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this run. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. I was a bit nervous this morning, but I had a good time. Hope you had a good time too. Thank you for everyone who donated during my run.
Job. It was fabulous. Could not have expected how amazing that experience was. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you. And in the credits, Bayonetta becomes a pole dancer. So.
As promised.
So. Throughout, whenever you get a platinum award, Bayonetta says, "Oh, I should have been a pole dancer," and then in the end, we see her pole dancing. So, very nice. The reason why we speedrun Bayonetta is to get to the credits ASAP. So yeah.
Fly me to the moon, not punch me into the sun.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Do we know what run is coming up next?
We do. We have a very exciting run of Nights into Dreams with J question mark.
Awesome. I hope everyone will enjoy that run too. Thank you so much for having me.
Sega.
Yes. Hold on one second. My cursor gets captured in my game, so I have to go to this screen. But thank you all for having me. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the